So I thought I'd do another video about my little user API thing with the TDD stuff and what have you. And I thought of something else whilst I was in the meantime. I've been kind of thinking about stuff to do with this. And one of the things that struck me was I think we're going to find when we look at the user session, or not user session, the user session DB and the user DB, I reckon they're going to probably look quite similar. So fake user DB, add user by ID, sessions, add session, find session. So we're going to see that there's kind of commonality there. They're a similar type of thing. So I suspect we're going to probably at some point make those concrete. I feel like I'm going to bring those within the kind of my overall component, which would be nice. But then I'm going to have another level of abstraction, which will be the database layer. So I kind of thought I'd look at that bit first now. So I'm going to. I was trying to think how best to do that. So what I could do is write some tests for my let's rename that to, let's call that user api.spec.ts. Let's do that. Hopefully that'll still work. So what I've done here is, rather on this, I'm on a different computer now, but rather than having the kind of Mocha sidebar running there, I've just basically implemented a little watch thing on the test command. So it'll just kind of rerun the tests automatically as I update files and save them. So it's more or less doing the same thing that the Mocha sidebar was, but it's just doing it in the terminal. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a user db.spec.ts. And in there, and I'm not necessarily expecting to kind of to keep this file. I'm just going to use this to try and drive out what I'm looking for. In fact, I'm not even going to do that. And this is, I guess this is kind of, maybe this is typical, I don't know. I don't feel like I need to, perhaps don't need to do that, because I've got this fake user DB here, and I've got the user session DB here. I've got my tests, so I could just continue to derive my the next level of abstraction just using this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a new export interface, and we're going to call it just call it DB. I guess that makes sense, doesn't it? It's going to be a, one way or the other, it's going to be a DB, and that is going to have an add method which will take a record of type T, because now we don't know what these things, or it's going to be a different thing there. So we're going to just add that into there as record of type T, and it's probably going to return a record of type T by the looks of it from what we did. I've got a cat meowing at me again now, as we can hear. And we're going to have a find function there, which is going to also be going to take type T. Yes, Daisy, well done. And that's going to take That's interesting. So now we've got to find. So actually, we've got a token there. We've got a the method by which we find the record is actually slightly different, isn't it? So what we want to do there is we're going to have a function which is going to be what will that function be? I'll have to think about that. We definitely want to return type T, that's for certain. We're going to put predicate in there. And is that going to be something that returns let's presume we're going to take let's see how we go with that. And we're going to have a find by ID, which again is going to be type T. And that's going to be something like ID string returns T. So I think we're going to have something like that. And then I'm going to have a real const db, and that's going to be a db. And we're going to pass that in. And what we're going to do there. We're going to say user DB. What we're going to do, user DB. So we're going to have the idea, we're going to have some sort of, need to be able to specify the table. It's not table, this is the, it's going to be a collection of some kind. So let's call that collection. User collection equals collection. They are going to be more or less the same as that, aren't they? But find, that's going to be add. And that's going to say return That's going to do that. I want to get rid of how is that doing? Token UUID. Oh, interesting. So we've got an ID there, so we can possibly also do then export class collection, which is going to let's call it, for the sake of argument, let's call that iCollection for the moment. In fact, I'm going to call it collection interface, and that's going to implement collection interface. Fix, implement all of those. That's good. And we're going to say here new record equals object.assign record ID UUID. Record this dot records probably don't make sense. It's going to be this dot records, and up here we're probably going to want to specify that it's a private records, which is going to be. Can I do that as type T there, and say that's going to be an array of T? This dot records equals empty array. I wonder if can I do that? Does that even work? Can I do that? Does that? How about that? Does that work? No, maybe that works. So records that push record return new record. Okay, that seems to work quite well. Return. What was the? Record equals this dot records dot find predicate if this dot record. Let's put record not found at the moment and return that. So we got rid of there, and that can be got rid of there. Find by ID, so we'll take that and put that in there. Record not found, this dot record records ID equals ID. T and Actually, yes, we don't need. Actually, we perhaps don't even need that one. So here we can say use collection is collection, and we can possibly say that maybe that. So maybe we can say there. Class user collection extends user collection extends collection type user. We've got a constructor, so can we now say const user collection equals use your collection? Does that even work? Can we now say use collection dot add? Can we say use collection dot find? Okay. So we can say here predicate R record T there we go. That will that work? Why is that not working? User is not assignable to type. That should be does that? Okay, cool. That seems to like that. So use collection.find. We've already got an error being thrown there, so that kind of renders that kind of redundant for the moment. So we can just say return that. But there we can just say return that, because we don't need that. And there, presumably, we can do the same thing, but it's going to be like that. We're doing that like record. Look at that. So we've still got some things going on there, and we can also presumably also say session collection. And let's actually create that as a session collection there. Let's create that as a new session collection, and let's come down here and say sessions.add, and we'll return that. Oh, that should be session. Why do we not have a session? Is there no session thing? What's the session called? User session. User session, there we go. So now we should be able to say return session collection.find and do that. And hopefully that's, yeah, so my tests are all still passing. So now I've managed to get rid of that. I've also got rid of the U, don't need that anymore. So now what we've defined is something where we can actually say that fake user DB there and that fake session DB can actually now become real. That can actually be a real class. They don't need to be fake anymore. Our fake things are these things. No, in fact, our fake things aren't even those things. The fake thing will be, but even they're not fake. This is the fake. The collection is the fake thing. Well, anyway, let's just kind of work that through and see what we can come up with. I reckon we can do this. So let's refactor that and call that export class. Where's our user DBs from user API? Where's user? What's in user? Okay, user. So we define that as an interface. Let's call that an interface. Let's refactor that. Refactor. Not what I wanted. Let's try and. Okay, let's go rename symbol. And let's rename that symbol. Okay, that's made that, sorted that out. That's updated that, which is good. So now we're going to use that to create a class user DB, which is going to implement user interface. Is that right? Add user. It's still looking pretty good. No, it's not gonna. Yes, that is going to be. That is right. Do that, find user, get rid of those, get rid of that, get rid of that. That's going to be returning user, that's going to be returning user, that's going to be a string, and that is going to be a string. And now we can say const use fake user DB equals new user DB. Hopefully that will all still work. Is that still working? Appear to still be working. That's good. Okay. Now let's do the same thing for this one. We'll bring that const down here because we're going to need that. Export class. So what I'm doing through this is trying to get to the point where I've got I can make a more general kind of database layer to this, and that's just because there's kind of commonality between the user session DB and the user DB. So let's just do that, let's do that, let's get rid of that. Is this, that's a user session, not a session. Right, what's going on here? How's that? Equals new user session DB. Does that look right? Is that going to work? Okay, we're still passing. We're still passing. So what we've done now is we've got a real. So we can maybe even take those out to let's create a new file, user session db.ts and a user db.ts. So now I can take those, I can take that, export that class, user db, take that one out of there, put that in there. Okay, so that wants to use collect. Okay, so we've got the user collection. So we need to give it. Right, of course, yes. Yes, so the thing we need here is actually to define the. Let me just bring that user collection for the moment. Take that out of there, and we'll bring that into here. We'll quick fix, and let's take our let's take our collection interface and our class collection. Let's make that into a separate one as well. Let's call that collection.ts. Always lots of stuff in the weeds here. So now we can bring that out and we can say we'll have that one from there. Put that up there. That's okay. We want to import. Are they being exported? No, are they being exported? Yes. So we want to import collection from source collection. That should do there. That gets rid of that. That one can come out of there for the moment and go into here. Import that. Import that. That's fine. And we will import userdb from userdb. Right, now let's see where we're getting some errors. Okay, so we've also add new record. So in fact we actually don't even need to do that, do we? We should just be able to do that. Still passing. Good. So let's now also take that one from there. Let's just copy all of that because I'll need pretty much all of that one from there. Let's put that in there. That's session collection. We don't need that line in there. We do need to add all missing imports. We don't need that we can do that probably. Token. Maybe we can do that. Maybe is that still going to work? Yeah, it still seems to work. Do that for the moment. Possibly change the add there to require a partial, maybe. Client add. Let's do that as partial. Will that work? Doesn't like it, does it? Okay, let's leave it as it. Let's leave it like that then for the moment. No, we can't do that. That's not going to work, is it? We do need that one there because it's a token. We're using token and not ID. So we're going to. That's not right, is it? Don't want that. We're going to leave that as it is because we need. Because that's using a token rather than an ID. We could probably change that to just be ID. It would make sense, but for the time being, we'll just do that so it keeps it kind of correct and stuff. So we can get rid of that. Get rid of those. And we can also say keep that in there. Import that from there. Hopefully those tests should still pass, and they do. So what we've done there, I kind of feel like this is going in the right direction. So now we've got a database. Now then. What I think this needs is rather than having that collection defined there, we need to pass the collection. We need to pass the collection in. So I'm going to add a constructor. Private session collection, which will be a type of collection user session. So that means we're going to say this dot session collection, this dot session collection, which means that then goes away completely. That will come back to here, and that's going to be a new collection of type user session, maybe? Is that right? Can we then pass that in there? Does that even work? No, that's something doesn't like it there. I can save that. What's that doing now? Is that still complaining? User session DB session collection. Expected. What have I updated? 0 arguments session collection. Oh, a different error here, I think. Let me just I'll clear the console. Kill terminal. close panel. Let's just cancel that, clear that, do that again. Okay, so we're passing again, hurrah. So now I want to do the same thing back to the user database, which is here. So that's going to take in a constructor, which will be a private user collection, which will be a collection of type user. And that means this is going to be this. This is what I like about, how long am I going for? 36 minutes. Still getting quite long, isn't it? Might have to redo this one and see how we go. User collection, so I can get rid of that, don't need that. That comes out of there. That's going to come back into here. And that's going to be passed into there. And that's going to be a collection of type user. And that needs to then come back just there. Right, so now we've got that. Now I think we can make something a little more generic here, because our session collections effectively are going to depend on a so we can actually say that is a, so this now becomes that's a real user database, that's a real session DB. Let me just undo that. Let's refactor that. No, not refactor it, let's rename it. Do that, so that should now still work, which it does. What I'm going to introduce now is the database. So I'm going to export class DB. I don't think I've got a database yet. And we're going to const fake DB, fake DB equals new DB. And what I want is basically to provide that into there. So the collection function here is going to have a constructor. We're not going to have this .records. We're going to have a database with type DB. And let's take that out to db.ts. So that it's in the right place. And then we can do import db from db. So at least it's there. At least we can get to it. That's going to be import from source DB. Why is that error? Let's try that again. Let's see what we get. Well, that needs to be saved, doesn't it? Okay, so now that's passing, that's good. Right, so I think we're almost there. We're almost there refactoring this. So fake DB it's going to be something along the lines of so what do we want that interface to look like? Do we want to give it the name of a collection there? Perhaps we give it the name of a collection. So I'm going to give it a collection name. It feels like a little bit of a cop out here, but I think it'll work. I think it'll work okay. And then here I'm going to say fake DB user, and then I'm going to say fake DB. That was user session, wasn't it? User session. There we go. So I'm going to do that. And now I'm going to say, so now rather than doing user records, that's going to be private fake DB private collection. Private collection. So now I can say something along the lines of this.fakedb dot add collection new record, something like that, and then I can have a add collection string record T. And this could be something like constructor private DB, and that's going to be an array of key string, and it's going to be an array of anything. So we're going to say this.db equals that, and we're going to say if not db collection, then this.db collection equals that, and then we're going to say this.db collection dot push record return record. How does that look? Hopefully we can do that. Hopefully we can do that. That should be this dot collection. Record not found, that's okay. So now we're going to say this dot records dot find. So it's going to be this dot record. Oops, get off. This dot record dot this dot record. So we do something like that, and that's going to be find. And that means that's no longer needed, that's no longer needed. All we need now is a find method here. So that's going to be find t. And again, we're going to have our collection, which is going to be a string with a predicate, which is going to be type t boolean. And there we're going to say the same thing that we said here. Which is this.db collection.find predicate. I think it's going to be rt, isn't it? And we're going to say, if not that, in fact, yeah, let's just do that. Let's create a little private method there called ensure collection, which will just take care of that. This.ensure collection, there we go. That means we can also take that line from there, from collection, and put that into here. Which means we take that out of there and put that into here. Because we don't need to do that anymore. We can do that. In fact, actually, we can do that, which means we can do that, and we're going to find out. I think we're going to find out something here. I think we're going to find out something. Asserts undefined not equal to undefined. Right, what happened there? Let me just find out what we've done wrong there. So that's doing what it's supposed to do. Let's just do that, do that, do that. Okay, that's now no longer working if we do that. Why is that no longer working? Ah, it's returning the wrong thing. There we go. Okay, so that's got that. So we can get rid of that. Get rid of that. We've already gotten rid of that. get rid of that. I think here we can just return that. I don't think we need the rest of it. Let's comment that out. Still passing. So that's actually looking remarkably like we don't actually need the collection. We just need to pass in the database. So what would happen here? What have we got? Session collection. So I think we've got a fake database there. So what about if we just pass that into there? That'll give us an error. If we now go back to the user database and say that's going to be a private DB, which is going to be type DB, that requires us to import that. DB, so that would then require us to add something here. So the collection user, and we can then just do there collection this dot collection DB find this dot collection DB find this dot collection. Okay, that all seems. Put that there, bring that to there. That will hopefully resolve that. We're going to find we don't need the collection. So now we're going to find we don't need the collection, which means we can do the same thing here. That's going to be user session. That's going to be DB, which is going to be of type DB. Get rid of that. Import that. That's going to be DB. That's going to be DB. That's going to be this dot collection. That's going to be this dot collection. And that's going to be user session, and then we're going to get rid of collection from up there, and then we're going to come back to here and we're going to change that to fake DB. That's kind of crashed, but I think we can recover that. Passing, which means we get rid of those, get rid of those, get rid of that. Don't need delete collection anymore, delete that. What do we need there? That's okay, so we've got user session DB. So the only thing we've got now so that's good. I'd quite like to so that feels okay. That feels okay. So that was our fake. That's our fake database. And let's make that implement an interface. And that's going to have two things, isn't it? We've got that. Add collection T, and that's returning T, and we've got find collection there, and that's also returning T. So let's put that implements DB interface. And then let's come back to here and let's change that to DB interface We'll change that to DB interface. And we'll change that to DB interface and that to DB interface. And that should not affect any of those. That's good. That seems pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. 55 minutes, bit of a tough one. So actually this is more like my fake database. Now I've got a proper little user DB, or user session DB, user DB, database, user API spec. So I'm going to stop there. Having refactored that, I now feel like I can go and kind of implement something like Mongo, and I've only got to do it in one place. I've just got one database class to work on, that's it.